All right, okay. Very good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me and see a screen as well? Yes, no? Can hear me, can see a screen. Yeah. Okay, give me a second. Right, so shall we take a few minutes? If there is any friends on the group, just maybe do remind them that they also can join. Morning, guys. Right, okay. Okay, first of all, till the others kick in, first of all, very, very sorry for what happened last week. Right, I think that was a bit of a bad start with a little bit of a connection issue. So we'll start from where we stopped last week and then go on. So today I'm planning to have a bit of a longer session because since we missed 1 hour last week, I'm looking at if we can finish the MCQs and maybe even start the essay questions. That should be fine. I have not yet put the essay questions onto my whiteboard, but at least if we can finish all the MCQs up to 2020, I think that's a good start to go. All right, so I'm not going to waste too much time because that's your and my valuable time. Okay, so I understand that some of you all might have classes, some of you all might have this and that, right? Like I said last week, this recording will not be put anywhere else. It will come on YouTube in some time, right? So I can't guarantee you when it will be there on YouTube. So just there has been a lot of messages asking me this and that and that and that. I have not replied also because you can't reply for hundreds of messages that come on asking when is it uploaded. So if you really want to get it done, right, the only choice is you wake up in the morning and do come to class. All right, so because I feel sometimes otherwise when it's given for free, it's taken for granted at times. So that is why I'm not going to spoon feed you all with the recording also. So if you really want to get it done, come to class, get it done. Someday in the future, it will be there on YouTube, right? Okay, where did we stop? What was the last MCQ that we did? Anyone? What was the last question? Where did we get stuck last week? Which year, which MCQ? Okay, 2015. No, 15, which MCQ? MCQ number? Okay, this is 2015 paper. Anyone? Okay, so we've done MCQ 27. Did we finish 28? Yes. Is 28 done, or was this that we stopped halfway? MCQ 28 done. All right, so I'm hoping then this is also done. Then we'll start with 29. Okay, so we'll start with MCQ 29. This is the 2015 A-level paper. All right, to the 2015 MCQ 29. Okay, right. Just want to check. Do y'all do the MCQs? Do y'all do the MCQs ahead? 16, 17, 18, 19, 20? Unit 6? Yes? No? Try it out. How was it? Wasn't that hard, right? Manageable? No? Never tried just coming here and having a nice look. Please do try and come because I don't give you all time to, I will not give you all time to sit and try. And there is no point, just waiting here and listening to me explain if you have not yet done it. Right? Because only when you do it, you realize that, this was a difficult question, this was the way I had a problem, so that you all can ask. Okay, did until 2020 and the extra sum papers too. Perfect. Right. We'll get into 29. The question will not waste more time. Okay. So question 29, they say economists assume that as real GDP increase, what do you all think happens? As real GDP increases, if you, what do you all think the answer is? So I'll draw a bit of curves also. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exports will increase, imports will decrease, net exports will be constant. I guess this is 2015. Okay. Net exports will increase, net exports will decrease. What do you think happens, guys, when GDP increases, real GDP? I'll draw a basic diagram here, right? Okay, so in this case, right, I'll just explain this bit of logic here, right? This is the withdrawals curve, right? W equals savings, taxes, plus inputs. You all know this, right? So then, which curve is this? This is your injections curve. That is investment, government spending, and exports combined. So what are the two axes, guys? Right? So this axis is your, right? It's your income, Y. So that you can also call it as the real GDP if you want to. That's your output. So that is that axis. And this axis, you have the withdrawals or the injection value. Now, this, what happens to, right? When, okay, first of all, when income keeps on increasing, go parallelly on this curve. What happens to exports? What happens to exports when income increases? Does it increase? Does it decrease? Or is it remaining constant? What happens to exports when income is increasing? Exports is an injection. What happens? When we're going this way along the curve, please look at the curve. What happens? When you're going this way along the curve, what is happening to these injections? Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? Or is it remaining constant? Others, no, I have like answers from just 2 or 3. Read the graph. Export. These exports are remaining constant, guys. Look at the curve. It's a straight line, right? My diagram might be look a little, a little side, but if you really know the diagram, right, it's a straight line. So your exports, right, it's autonomous. It doesn't depend with income, right? So let's say if this value was 500, yeah, investment, government spending, and exports. If it was 500, it would have been 500 at any level of GDP. So even if your real GDP increases, your exports are not going to change. So as real GDP increases, exports are constant, right? Exports don't change. But what do you think happens to imports? Imports as your real GDP increases. Look at your withdrawals now. What happens to this? Imports. What is happening to this curve, guys? As your income is increasing. As your income is increasing, this curve is going upwards, right? So this curve keeps on going up and up. So as your income increases, guys, your imports increase, right? So imports, right, they increase. So if your exports are constant, right, if your exports are constant and your imports keep on increasing, what do you think happens to net exports? What do you think happens? Your exports are constant, that's not changing, but your imports keep on increasing. What happens to net exports now? Net exports? Net exports is your export minus import. Export is constant, import keeps on increasing. The minus value keeps on increasing. What happens, guys? Your net exports will decrease. That is the logic behind it. What's the story behind it? Right? The story behind this is we assume, okay, first of all, the assumption made is that exports are autonomous. Exports are autonomous means that exports don't depend on your income. So no matter what your income is, exports will be constant. That is why you have a straight line for your injections. They say all your injections are autonomous variables. That means does not depend on income, right? Straight line, your J curve. But your withdrawals, guys, all of your withdrawals are income dependent. But in your syllabus, we only study that savings is income dependent. Only your savings curve has, S equals minus A plus B by D. In your syllabus, we say tax and imports are autonomous. But in reality, guys, tax and imports also depend on income. If you study econ further at some other level, you will go on studying those as well. So what usually happens is when your income keeps on increasing, when people have more and more income, guys, they tend to import more. Now, for example, now if you get a bit more money, right? Maybe you'll buy a new laptop, maybe you will buy a new phone, maybe you'll buy a new car, right? Now, where is this phone, laptop, car coming from? It's coming from abroad. It's not made in Sri Lanka. So when your income is increasing, you're buying, that means your imports are increasing. Exports are constant, imports are increasing. At the end, what is happening? Your net exports will decrease. So it's said that, right, if you're in this side of the thing, right? So where is equilibrium? Equilibrium is at this point, right? Give me a second. Okay. So this line in the middle here is equilibrium, right? So if you're on this side of the diagram, what do you think will your net exports be, or trade balance? Will it be a deficit or will it be a surplus? Your trade balance? A deficit or a surplus? You'll have a deficit, guys. Your imports are more than your exports at this side, right? So I'm just adding a few additional points because you can have different questions that come from this area, right? So if you're on this side of the diagram, you have a trade deficit, right? That means you have negative net exports, right? If you're on the other side of the diagram, right, before equilibrium, I'm hoping you all know that when W equals J is where you have equilibrium. So if you're on the other side of the diagram, right, that is this side, right, you have a trade surplus, right? You have a trade surplus and your net exports, in other words, will be positive. So simple questions like that, they can put in your paper. So this side of the diagram, you have a positive trade surplus. All right, so then what is the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So anything that has these 3 points should be the answer. Exports are constant. Is there an answer that says exports constant? No. Is there an answer that says import increase? No. But there is an answer that says net exports will decrease. So your answer goes to number 5. Is that okay? Yes. Check. Guys, difference between real GDP and nominal GDP is that real GDP does take into account only the production. We don't look at, the change in prices. So GDP for a year can change because of a change in price and because of a change in the output. Okay. But in real GDP, we assume, we take the base year prices and we only look at the increase in the output. That is the real income. Okay. Right. Done with that. That's 29. Let me go into question. Okay, there is no question 30. Okay, that's it from the 2015 paper. Okay, how many of you get right? There were 3 MCQs. 3 out of 3? Yes. No. 2, 3. Okay. Right. Getting to the 2016 paper. Guys, I'm hoping either you learned out of it. That's fine. Okay. We're getting to the 2016 paper. I think it's a very easy MCQ. They say, assume that in a simple economy, the aggregate consumption is C equals 250 plus 0.75 and investment equals 450. The equilibrium level of national income is, you won't get questions as easy as this. Okay, in case you all have not done, can you all take a minute to do this? Equilibrium level of national income. How do you calculate, guys? So at equilibrium, you all know Y equals E, right? So therefore, Y is equal to C plus I plus G plus net exports. But this is a simple economy. You don't have government and you don't have net exports. Okay. So then Y is equal to 250 plus 0.75 Y plus 450. So Y is equal to, we'll add the autonomous part, that's 700 plus 0.75 y minus 0.75 is equal to 700, right? And then 0.25y equals 7. Okay, you don't have to do all of these steps. I'm hoping by now you all are much more faster than this. So y is equal to 700 divided by 0.25. You get y equals 800. Sorry, not 800. 2,800. So that becomes your answer. Is that fine? I'm hoping everyone is at a level by now that you all can calculate the equilibrium level of national income, right? No issue, right? So that is your y. But do you think the paper will be hard for us this time? I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be a normal paper. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I don't think you can't say it. But even if it's hard, that's good, right? The harder the paper, the better it is. That is my assumption, right? Because if you're someone coming for, I don't know, if you're someone targeting for a good Z score, the harder the paper, the better it is. That is what I am praying for. Not very hard, not an impossible hard paper, but for all my fast track students, my only wish is that the paper is hard, because we've done all the hard questions. The more harder it is, the better your Z score and your thing would be. All right, so that is that. I'm hoping that's okay. Will they postpone again? I don't think, right? I think it is official that it will definitely happen in October. I don't think this, well, even recently in the start of July, they said that somehow they will have it. So it's better that they have it. Okay, question 24, A-level paper 2016, right? Okay, an increase in which of the following will increase the value of the investment multiplier? Again, a very easy one. Which one will increase the value of the investment multiplier? So how do you calculate the investment multiplier? K is equal to 1 divided by 1 minus Mpc, right? That is your equation, or 1 over Mps. You can say that as well. So in this case, for this K value to increase, right? For this value to increase, this 1 and 1, these are constants, right? So which should change? Which one should change? Is this Mpc should change, or the Mps should change? So what changes should be appropriate here? For your investment, right? Investment multiplier to increase, in basic terms, guys, your Mpc has to increase, right? So if I'm just to give you some random values here, right? So let's say Mpc is 0.8, right? So if the Mpc is 0.8, how much is your multiplier? Multiplier is equal to how many times? How many times do you get your multiplier? It's 5 times, right? So if your Mpc is 0.8, your multiplier is 5 times. Now let's assume that your Mpc increases. Let's say it becomes 0.9, right? So if your Mpc becomes 0.9, now how much is your multiplier? Exactly, it's now 10 times. So for your multiplier to increase, what should happen, guys? Your Mpc has to increase, or in other words, your Mps has to fall. So in here, Mps is 0.2 and 0.1. Right? So I'm hoping by now you all can figure that out. Okay, so for your multiplier to increase, your Mpc has to increase. Guys, Mpc increasing means automatically Mps is falling, right? So either Mpc has to increase or Mps has to fall. One of the two would have been a correct answer. So if you look at this, okay, so you have one here, marginal propensity to consume, right? To increase. An increase in which of the following? An increase in the marginal propensity to consume. So Mps has to increase, or Mpc has to increase, or else Mps has to fall. But they're not asking about what to fall, they're asking about what has to be increased. So Mpc has to be increased. So simple calculation, it was 0.8, your multiplier was 5 times. When it was 0.9, your multiplier is 10 times. Okay, guys, these questions are as easy as it gets. I don't think this should ever even be a challenge at this point of time, right? Okay, question number 25, 2016 A levels. Right, which of the following represents an injection into the circular flow of income? What do you all think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Injection. Injection is what is coming into the circular flow. What do you all think? Injection. Okay, deficit in the trade balance. What is that? Your first option is that your imports are greater than your exports. So if your imports are usually greater than your exports, that is what? It's more money going out, right? Your first option, when they say deficit in the trade balance, you're importing more than what you're exporting. So there's more money going out. That's not really a injection. That is like a withdrawal, right? Then your second option, it says a government budget deficit. So how do you calculate a budget surplus or a budget deficit? What are the two variables that you take into account when you calculate budget balances? No, not Y&E. Exactly. Government spending and taxes, guys, right? So what do you think is higher here? When they say there is a budget deficit, is government spending more higher or is the taxes more higher? Which is higher? They're having a budget deficit. That means they're spending more, right? So the government spending, right? The government spending, right, is greater than the tax revenue. So here, what do you think? Is this acting like an injection or a withdrawal? Now, government spending, is an injection. Tax, is a withdrawal. The spending is more than the withdrawal. So what is this? This is an injection, right? So the government spending, the G component, is much higher. Every time the government is spending, money is coming into the circular flow. Every time there is a tax, money is going out. But when they say there is a budget deficit, that means the government spending is higher than the tax revenue. So government is pumping more money in than what they are taking out. So more money coming in is acting as an injection. And then if you look at, let's say, an increase in net taxes. So when net taxes increase, guys, that's a withdrawal, right? That when the taxes increase, it's a withdrawal. Withdrawal. Okay, number 4 is a retained profits of private companies. Guys, remember, injections and withdrawals are inputs, right? Is where money comes in or goes out as a result of, not because of households or firms, these other parties, right? So anything, now you have the circular flow of income, the main components are households and firms. So their transactions are not considered as injections and withdrawals. Okay, so injections and withdrawals comes from the other parties, that is financial institutes, the government, and the foreign sector. So retained profits of private companies, that is not considered really as a injection. That, it might contract the economy, but still you don't even say that as a withdrawal also, right? So you can say not a part of injections or withdrawals. That is number 4. Because I'm writing numbers here because I don't have space next to that, right? Okay. And number 5, household savings. What is this? Injection or a withdrawal? Household saving. Savings. Obvious. Savings is a withdrawal, right? Where money goes out, guys. Hey, savings is a withdrawal, right? So when money goes out to these financial institutes, right, then that is a part of this, right? It becomes a part of withdrawal. So maybe, yes, you can argue the 4th one also saying, retained profits go into financial, then maybe you can argue it as a withdrawal. But whatever said and done, in this answer, we are not finding for a withdrawal. We are looking for a injection, right? So which one of the following is an answer then? Yeah, so maybe, okay, so maybe next to this, you can say, if you want, you can argue that it's a withdrawal also, it's fine. Okay, which one is the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which of the following represent injection into the economic circular flow, guys? It's an easy one, right? So which of the following is an injection? It's number 2. That is when you have a budget deficit, right? When you have a budget deficit, it's a injection where your government spending is much more higher than your tax revenue. Maybe if they said there is a trade surplus, then it would have been a injection too. But that's saying a trade deficit. So 25 is answer number 2. Okay. Fine. If you have any question in the middle, you all can ask it. I will not be asking at the end. You all have questions. Right? So I'm expecting it with 2.5 months to go at some level. Okay. This question, a good question. Something that I taught to the 2022 class yesterday. Anyone was there in my 2022 class yesterday? 21 students. You all can come for free for the 2022 class. Were you all there? Yeah. Anyone? No one? Okay, never mind. Okay, so the diagram below represents the behavior of some macroeconomic variables in an economy. So they put in some stuff, right? And they're saying in this economy, okay, if the national income in this economy is Y3, so that is the national income. Y3 is the level of national income. And the aggregate expenditure function is AE1. Okay. Before I get into this, I'll explain something that was there in my tute. Okay, so if you all really want to get it done, you all can maybe jot this diagram down, but if you all know this, that's fine, right? Okay, this diagram, right, it might look a little scary, but I'll put it to you in very simple terms, okay? This diagram is a combination of the Y equals E equilibrium and the W equals J equilibrium, right? So total aggregate expenditure equals aggregate income and total withdrawals equals total injections approach are combining the two equilibriums. Okay, so if you look at this, this is the first curve, the Y equals E line, what you usually consider as the income curve. Here you have the expenditure, right? Aggregate expenditure, C equals I plus G plus net exports. So where is your economy at equilibrium? Where these two intersect, right? Where these two curves intersect. Then if you look at the W equals J curve, where do you have equilibrium? So this is the withdrawals curve, right? And this is the injections curve. Where do you have equilibrium? Where these two curves intersect, where these two are equal. So this is equilibrium. So no matter which approach you use, the national output, right? The output will be the same. So for example, let's say the output is, let's say it's, okay, give me a second. Let me make this. Okay, should have made it a bit smaller before it's never. Okay, so let's say this is 4,000. Let's assume that the equilibrium level of national income is 4,000. Okay, now my question to you is, right, let's focus on the two sides of this diagram, right? The two sides of the diagram is, now you have equilibrium in the middle, you have the left side and you have the right side. So let's focus on one area of it, right? Let's say we focus on this side first, right? Let's focus on this side, this arrow, this part here. Okay, so in this part, can you tell me which of this is greater? Is Y greater than E or E greater than Y? What is more greater? Is your income greater than your expenditure or your expenditure greater than your income? Which one in this side of the diagram? E greater than Y or Y greater than E? Your expenditure is greater, right? So your E is greater than your Y. How do you figure out whether your E is greater or not? Look at the two curves, guys. This is, guys, Y equals E curve. You consider this as your income, right? Your income or your output. Give me a second. Okay, so this is your output. This is your expenditure. So if you compare these two curves, right? This curve and this curve, which one is greater? It's your E curve that is at a greater level, right? Your expenditure is greater. Okay, then is your withdrawals greater or your injections greater? At that side of the diagram, the left side. Which one is greater, withdrawals or your injection? Your injections are greater, right? So it's J is greater than W. Okay, what is the name that we give for this situation? There's a name that we give for this situation. What is this called? On this side of the diagram, where your planned expenditure is greater than your planned output and your injections are greater than your withdrawals. It's called a what? Involuntary what? involuntary, inventory, accumulation or shortage. Accumulation or shortage. It's a shortage case, right? So what this is, let me explain this story to you, right? Understand this very carefully. Don't memorize things, right? Don't go to memorize things, right? Understand it very carefully. It will make sense, right? Okay. At this situation, right? In this situation, ever heard about it? I think it's a very common thing that your teachers would have taught. No? Either you would have not been paying attention, or I have no idea. Okay, right. So this situation here, listen very, very carefully, right? Now this Y, right? Your income is what you call your output now, guys, right? In this situation, your output is less, but people are willing to spend much more. So your expenditure is high, right? Now, aggregate expenditure is what is the amount that people are willing to spend, right, in your country. So planned expenditure is high than the planned output, right? Output is Y. Your output is less, your expenditure is great. What do you have? Do you have a shortage or a surplus here of goods? Output is less, but people are willing to spend much more. You have what? You have a shortage there, right? People are willing to spend much more, but you have only produced very little amount of goods. So you have a shortage. Now, in order to correct this situation, what should your response be? Immediately, what could you do? Your response, immediately, what do you do? Now, there is a shortage in the market. Immediately, what do you do, guys? Immediately, whatever that you have stored and kept, right? Whatever that you have stored and kept before, right? You put it out to the market. Okay. So whatever that you have stocked and kept with you, so maybe, some goods that you have produced, you have put it into your factories, right? You have put it into your factories and kept. So in this situation, what should you do, guys? Immediately, right? You have to destock. Guys, what is the meaning of destock? Destock means anything that you have stored and kept, you're now putting out. So destock, because why? Your expenditure is higher than your output. So you need more output. Immediately, you can't go and increase output or do anything. Immediately, what you can do is you destock. Then in the long run, eventually, what can you do? Eventually, what should be your measures? Increase the output. So always remember, guys, right? Remember this. When your expenditure is higher than your income, right? To reach equilibrium, you will not reduce the expenditure. You will always make sure that your output matches your expenditure. So if the expenditure is at a higher level, the output is at a lower level, you don't bring down the expenditure. You increase the output. You always take the output to match the expenditure. So here the expenditure is high now. So you don't reduce the expenditure, you always increase the output. So you increase the output, or what else can you do? Is that the only option? Or is there another option? What are the other options? Is there anything that you can do with the price of the good? Imports, I've not really put in imports here. I'm not looking at it. What do you do with the price of the good? Do you increase the price or do you decrease the price? Exactly, guys. You can increase the price. Even if you increase the price, the output increases, right? Now, if you take the GDP, right, the GDP is your quantity multiplied by the price. So if you increase the price also, your GDP will increase, your output will increase, the value of your total production, right? So that way you can reach equilibrium. So if you're in this side of the diagram, it's in inventory shortage. Immediately you destock. Eventually what you should do, you have to increase the output or you have to increase the price. So you always are going towards equilibrium this way. That is what this arrow is about. Okay, is that okay? Shape, right? Then the other side of this diagram, okay, the other side of it. The other side of it, okay, here which side is, okay, let me highlight. What is higher here? Okay, this one, let's say we are focusing on this side of the diagram. Now what is higher, guys? It's your output is higher. Can you see your Y curve is greater than your E curve here? Right? So your Y is greater than your E, right? Your output, guys, Y income output you can use simultaneously, right? You can use the words interchangeably. So because I'm hoping you all know that the income is equal to the output at one point, if you realize it. Okay, and then what happens to withdrawals and injections? The withdrawals are greater than injections. Okay, so in this situation, what do you call this situation, guys? It's a what? What is the name that you give this situation? This is called a involuntary inventory accumulation. So involuntary, right? Involuntary. Okay, let me make this a bit smaller. Okay, involuntary inventory. Inventory accumulation. Okay, so now accumulation, in other words, that means you have a surplus, guys. You have accumulated more. So you can also, maybe if you really want, you can say it's a surplus. Okay, so here what has happened, guys, in this side of the, zoom out a little so that you can see the entire thing. Okay, so in this situation, what has ideally happened is that your planned output, can you see your Y, your output is much more greater than your planned expenditure. You have expenditure of this much, but your output is much high. What do you do? What do you do in this situation? What should be your response? Immediately, what should you do? Now you have too much of stock, right? Immediately, okay, immediately what do you do, guys? You have to stock whatever that you have in excess, you put it into your store, right? You stock it and keep. So immediate response is to stock, right? But what should be your response eventually? Now there is a limit that you can stock no, guys. Eventually, now you will decrease the output or you will reduce your production. So eventually you decrease the output, or else another thing that you can do is you can decrease the price. So either one of the two would work. So those are the two situations, guys. So in the middle you have equilibrium. On this side you call it an involuntary inventory accumulation. On the left side you have an involuntary inventory shortage. Okay. Shape, yes, no. Yeah, guys. So if anyone is there, can you put in a screenshot on the group? If someone can't take, maybe if you all have check. I don't know which group you all are in, but you can put in something on some group so that, because there was a request from one person. All right, any questions on this? Okay. So now what I'll do is I'll directly put you into the MCQ. Now I would want an answer for the MCQ then. Like if you've understood this, if you have no questions on this, then you should be able to answer the MCQ. Okay. Right. We'll see if you can figure that out now. If you can figure the MCQ out. If you're listening, I think you should have. Okay, let's go into the MCQ. Right? Okay, so in this MCQ, they say the diagram below displays the behavior of some macroeconomic variables in an economy. National income is Y3, aggregate expenditure is E1, right? So at which point are you? You're here, right? So you're in this side of the diagram. So what do you think should be the option? The economy is in equilibrium. There is an unintended inventory accumulation. National income will rise. There's an unintended inventory accumulation. National income will fall. There's an unintended inventory reduction. Reduction in the sense shortage. National income will rise. That. Guys, okay, first of all, which side in the diagram are you in? Okay, so in this one, what is greater than what, guys, at Y3 level? Y3 and AE1. For the economy to be at equilibrium, Y should equal E. Or is Y equal E here? Y is greater than E, right? Can you figure that out? That at this level, right? At this level of Y3, right? At this level of Y3, you're here now, guys. A second, let me okay, at this level of Y3, your output, you're comparing this and your AE1 curve, right? So this is your Y, right? This is your E. Your Y is greater than E. So what do you have? You have a what? Inventory accumulation. So what is your solution in this case? When there is inventory accumulation, what are your immediate and eventual responses? What do you do? Your national income, guys. National income means output, guys. What do you do to your output? Yeah, immediately as you stock, but here they are not talking about stocking. What do you do to your output, guys? Why? Your output has to decrease. That's what I've been telling you all this time. So what do? You're in this side of the diagram, there is an accumulation, and your output to reach equilibrium. This point is no equilibrium according to this. So to reach equilibrium, you need to reduce your output, right? So your answer becomes number 3 there, right? Answer 3, guys. So unintended inventory accumulation and your national income will fall, guys. National income means your output, guys. Income output can be used, interchangeably. So what should happen? Your output should fall. That means your national income should fall. Is that okay? It's a very simple MCQ, guys. Don't get confused because they've given you 2 expenditure curves. Don't get confused at all. They will tell you which expenditure curve they're talking about. So they're talking about the AE1 curve. So you compare the AE1 and the Y equals E line. The Y is greater. So you have a what? You have accumulation. You have too much of stock. So what should you do? You should decrease your output. In other words, your national income should decrease. Okay? Right, if that's fine. A bit disappointed about the number of answers that came in. This isn't in your current syllabus. It is in your current syllabus. I rarely teach something out of the syllabus. Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's it. So 2016, how many of y'all got how many correct? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 4? Yes, no? 4? Yes. Okay, there are 3s. Others? No? Okay, right. 2017, the EIDD levels. Let's look at what questions. I don't know if I got it right or not, but I'm hoping that I would have got it right. Okay, 2017 A levels, question number 24. Okay, guys, just want to check with you all. Am I too slow, too fast? Who is the pace okay? Fast track students, I feel I might be a little bit too slow because all should be okay. But in general, what do you all feel? Too fast, too slow, can manage, shape, yeah. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm going with this thing, others, or else I would have increased. Okay, right. So question 2017, guys, please do the question. If you feel that I'm a little too fast, what you can do is do the question beforehand and come, so that you don't have to kind of do it with me. So then when I'm teaching, you can listen to it. So that I think that is one way that you can try and improve that. All right, okay. Question 27. An increase in the which of the following may result in a decrease in the aggregate expenditure in an economy? Which one? An increase in which of the following? Consumption, government purchase, import expenditure, investment expenditure, inflow of foreign remittances. Okay, it's a very easy one. So your aggregate expenditure AE is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. These are your components. So when which of these increase will your aggregate expenditure fall? That is what you're asking. They are asking increase in which of the following. So one of these has to increase and it should cause a decrease in aggregate expenditure. Which one? Through the equation itself, isn't it obvious? When which of these increases does your aggregate expenditure fall? is when your imports increase. Imports is a negative, it contracts your aggregate expenditure. So when your imports increase, your aggregate expenditure will fall. So your exports, all of this, right? Your exports, your consumption, investment, government spending, if these increase, your aggregate expenditure will actually increase. Let me put that in different color, right? If any of these increase, your aggregate expenditure will increase, guys. Right? Okay, so inflow of foreign remittances, this one. Now, so that's not the answer. In foreign remittances, that is not a part of aggregate expenditure, guys. Foreign remittances is like, your father working abroad, him sending money to you, right? He sends a bit of money to you from his salary. So that is not a part of aggregate expenditure, really, right? So you don't put that into aggregate expenditure. Remember, guys, when they say an increase in aggregate expenditure or decrease, take the components of aggregate expenditure, right? C plus I plus G, X minus M. So when one of these changes, only aggregate expenditure has to change. So they're asking you an increase in which of the following will lead to a decrease. So it's when your imports increase is where your aggregate expenditure will decrease. So you end up with answer number 3 for question 24. Is that okay? Pretty direct. So far we've not found anything challenging though. Okay, go to the next one. Okay, and again a very similar question to what we had last time, but the only difference is last time they gave you consumption investment and asked you to find national income. This time they're giving you national income and consumption and ask you to find the investment. Okay, can you give this a try? Assume that in a closed economy, consumption is C equals 200 plus 0.8. Why? Equilibrium level of national income is 4,000. What is the level of investment in this economy? Very similar to what we did last time. Okay, how do we find? So y equals, make it a bit more bigger. Do we get 600? Yes, that's what most of you all are saying. Hold on. Okay, so y equals E. Okay, y equals E. So y is equal to C plus I is a simple economy. Y they have given as 4,000. C they have given 200 plus 0.8y. So instead of y, now put that 4,000, guys. So 0.8 into 4,000 plus I. So 4,000 is equal to 200 plus 0.8 into this thing is 3,200 plus I. So how much is I, guys? I don't think that is a challenge then. It's how much? 600. Okay. You move things around, you end up with 600. So that is your answer. So this is a very basic MCQ, guys. From this unit, please practice more. If you feel that it is a little bit harder, that means you are lacking a bit of practice, right? And also, guys, is there anyone by now who has finished the entire past papers? Maybe 2011 all the way to 2020. At least once, done and did everything. Okay, hold on. Have a power cut. All right. Sorry, guys. Have had a small power cut. Can you all hear me? Yes. No. Can hear. I'm on my hotspot. Yeah. Okay. So I'll have my video off because it's too dark. I'm also dark, so you will not be able to see me much. I'm hoping my battery doesn't die in my phone and my laptop. So we'll continue with this. My hotspot, the connection will be a little weak. So sometimes there can be a little bit of connection issues where you all don't hear me that clearly, but we'll manage for now. I don't want to stop the class just because I have a power cut. Something happens, no? We have some issue all the week. Never mind. Okay, is this question fine? Yes. Okay, so, my question to you all, I forgot. Done with all the past papers? I know Saturday is very unlucky. Done with it? Yes. 2011 to 20. When I say 11 to 20, that would be the ideal range. Guys, if you are done with 11 to 20, right? Because there will be people who are done with 11 to 20, right? So if you're done with 11 to 20, then what you should ideally be doing is do the ones from maybe 2002 to 2010, right? So once you've done that, then maybe go and do any other paper to model papers to all of it. Then you all can look in that. Okay, my current game, give me like a few seconds. Once I connect back to my other Wi-Fi, I'll on my camera. All right, okay, so we go into 26. Easy one. Okay, question 26. Okay, they say, suppose an economy is currently operating at equilibrium level of output at 3000 billion. This is an interesting one, right? And to achieve full employment equilibrium, it requires to produce at an output level of 4000. So currently it is at 3000. It needs to go to 4000. The economy's MPS is 0.2. What would be the most appropriate policy recommendation for this economy to achieve full employment level, full employment equilibrium? Okay, let me break this down, this question into a bit of pieces, right? Now this is a good MCQ, but it's not that hard though, right? Okay, in this, okay, sorry. Okay, in this MCQ, they say that your current equilibrium output, your current equilibrium is 3000. Okay, from this, they are saying that the full employment level, right? The full employment level is 4000. That is what they're saying. So now they're asking you, in order to go from this current equilibrium of 3000, in order to go from 3000 to 4000, what should you do, right? So should you increase government spending by something, or should you decrease taxes by some amount? Okay, first of all, can you tell me what is the change in income that is needed? The change in income, how much should national income change by? National income should change by how much? It should change by 1000. Now, for your national income to change by 1000, which of the following is your policy measures? Guys, so first of all, shall we calculate our government expenditure multiplier? KG is equal to 1 over 1 minus MPC. So O 1 over M, okay, they have given MPS, so I'll directly put MPS. So how much do we get as our expenditure multiplier? MPS is 0.2. So 1 divided by 0.2, how much do you end up? Sorry. You end up with 5, right? Give me a second. I'm working on my alignment. Why can't I bring my cursor to this point? Okay, so you get 5. Okay, so your government spending expenditure is 5. How much is your tax? Sorry, government expenditure multiplier. How much is your tax multiplier? Okay, so okay, first of all, before we get into tax multiplier, we'll try to see if we can get it done this way. All right. Okay. So then you know this equation, right? K is equal to change in income divided by the change in autonomous expenditure, or in other words, the change in government spending in our case, right? Change in government spending. So can you all fill in the blanks and tell me how much of a change? Now, what does this one means? What does this 5 means? That means if government spending increases by a certain amount, it will multiply by 5 times, and your national income increases 5 times more. That is what it means. Okay, I can't draw a straight line. Okay, so what do you think? Your K, they've given you an answer of 5, right? The change in income, you need a change of 1000. So how much should your change in government spending be? Work things around. How much should it be? Your change in government spending has to be 200. So that means if your government spending increases by 200, it gets multiplied by 5 and your income increases by 1000. So one way to go is increase government spending, right? Guys, I'm hoping you all have understood it. Increase government spending by rupees 200 billion. So if you increase government spending by 200 billion, it gets multiplied 5 times, and at the end you get increase in national income of 1000. So check in your answers. Is there any option that says increase in government spending by 200 billion? Yes, if there is, that will be your answer. No? Okay. So there is no option that says increase government spending by 200 billion. So then what could you do? Another way you can look at it is by changing your taxes, guys, right? So you can change your taxes. So how much is your tax multiplier, KT? How do you find? It's minus MPC or minus B over 1 minus MPC. In other words, you can say MPS. That is your equation, right? So how much do you get here as a number? Let me change the color of this. Okay, can't remember. Okay, how do I change my font color? Okay, so how much do we get here? Fine, I'll go with the same font color, never mind. Okay, so KT is equal to minus MPC is minus 0.8 divided by 0.2, guys. How much do you get? Your tax multiplier is a minus 4. Remember, guys, always your tax multiplier is a minus. That means if your tax increases, national income will decrease a multiple number of times. Okay, so in this case, okay, shall we put this also into this equation? K is equal to change in income. That equation is common to whether it's tax or this one. Change in income divided by change in government spending. Sorry, not government spending, change in taxes. Okay, right. Your K you identified is a minus 4. Change in income you need is 1000. Right, your change in income is 1000. How much should your change in this be? How much should this be? It should be how much, guys? It should be a minus 250. Guys, minus 250 means it should decrease by 250. Right? It's not just an increase in 250, it has to be a decrease by 250. So if your taxes decrease by 250, it will cause an increase in national income 4 times more. So it will increase national income there. So your option would have been decrease taxes, right? Decrease taxes by rupees 250 billion. So either one of this, right? Either if you decrease taxes by 250 or if you increase your government spending by 200, you could have gone from 3000 to 4000. Guys, you can't directly take 1000 and find the answer because you need to realize that all of this is multiplied, right? It multiplies several different times. So if you increase government spending by 200, it multiplies by 5, your 3000 can become 4000. Or else, if you decrease taxes by 250, it multiplies 4 times, your national income again increases by 1000. So which of the following is an answer then? Which of this has an answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Either you have to increase government spending by 200 or decrease taxes by 250. So which one has an answer? It's answer number 5, guys. Decrease taxes by 250. Fine? Yes. Sep. Okay, answer 24 and 25. Okay, these answers are there in your past paper. This is 25, very simple one. Okay. And this is 24, answer number 3. Okay. Right. 25 done, 26 done. We'll get into, I'm hoping if you're okay, if anyone wants to take a screenshot, this is the working, right? Okay. Done. So we get into 27. Okay. Question 27. That. Okay. Again, a very easy question. Okay. Until I change my Wi-Fi, I'll change into my Wi-Fi and then I can on my camera. Can you all give me your answers? What do you all think the answer is for this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so most of you are going with 1. Fine. I'm guessing you all can hear me and see me. Wait a second. Okay, right. So I think the answer is 1, 2. Okay, someone saying 2. So under which of the following situations is the economy at disequilibrium? Guys, for the economy to be at disequilibrium, Y and E should not be equal to each other. Okay, so can we calculate the expenditure here at each of these situations? Right? The total expenditure. E. So E is equal to C plus I plus G plus X minus M. Guys, can you give me numbers, please? How much is your expenditure at this point? At the first level, how much is your E? Here, how much is E, guys? 450. Okay, so that's not, it's not at equilibrium then. Fine, that can be an answer. Second point. Second point is 500. Okay. C plus I plus is 500. Okay, equilibrium. Third point. 600 or 650? 650. Okay. Fourth point. So all of this is at equilibrium. Okay, 800. And then fifth one is 950. Yes. All right. So at every single level, Y and E is equal. So the answer becomes number 1. At the first point is where your Y and E is not equal to each other. Your expenditure is 450, but your output is only 400. Okay, so this one, can you all tell me the first situation? Is it an inventory shortage or an inventory accumulation? Not needed for this question, but common sense. Think of what is greater than what? If so, what is it? It's a shortage, right? Your expenditure is at 450, but your income is only at 400. Okay, so answer is number 1. They're asking you which situation is the economy at disequilibrium, guys, not at equilibrium. So all the other situations, Y and E are equal. Only in the first answer, your E and Y are not equal to each other. That means they are at disequilibrium. Easy MCQ. Right, 27 done. Okay, no 28. Okay, how many of y'all got how many correct? We had how many MCQs? We had 1, we had 2, we had 3, we had 4. 4 out of 4? Yes, no? Nice. Right, some of y'all have 4 out of 4. Good, perfect. Yes, now it has to improve, right? Every single time. That is the whole point of doing the paper. Now, the moment you keep doing the same question over and over again, right? You will realize that it's the same thing that they are testing. If you're at the very beginning also, if you're at the same level, and even at the end, if you're at the same level, that means you're not learned anything. So at least maybe the 2019 paper or the 2020 paper, you should be able to get all correct properly. Someone want the 26th question? This is the 26th. Okay. Answer was number 5. Okay, fine. So we'll get into the 2018 paper. Is it 18 or 19? Okay, 18. Okay, again, a very easy one. The income increases from 5,000 to 10,000. Consumption expenditure increases from 7,000 to 11,000. The marginal propensity to consume is equal to, come on, you can't get questions as easy as this. How much is MPC, guys? MPC is equal to change in consumption divided by change in income. So that is your very simple equation. So how much is your change in consumption? Your change in consumption, they are saying is going from 7,000 to 11,000. So change in consumption is 4,000, right? How much is your change in income? 5,000 is going to 10,000. So change in income is of 5,000. So 4,000 divided by 5,000, how much do we get as an answer? We get 0.8. So easy as that. Okay. Basics of the basics. MPC. Done. 25, answer number 1. Then we go into question 26. Okay, good one. Which of the following will decrease the GDP by the greatest amount? Which are the following? Okay, if you want to decrease GDP, can you tell me what should you do to this thing? Okay, to decrease GDP, right? To decrease GDP, or in other words, the output, that's national income, GDP, right? Okay, first of all, for government spending, what should you be doing? Government spending should increase or government spending should decrease? Government spending should, to decrease GDP, government spending should decrease. So that can be one option, right? Government spending should decrease. What do you think should happen to taxes? Taxes should increase or decrease? To increase GDP, taxes should increase, because if you increase taxes, consumption will fall, your GDP will fall. Taxes should increase. Okay, you have net exports. Okay, what should happen to net exports? Your net exports should fall. Okay, so now each one of these three could be an answer according to these options, but sometimes there are better answers. Sometimes if two of these combine and if two of these happen together, then the decrease is much more, right? So you need to realize that. So okay, first of all, a 50 billion increase in both government purchases and taxes, guys. If there's a 50 billion increase in both government purchases and taxes, your national income will increase by 50 billion. Okay, a 50 billion decrease in government purchase and taxes, again no. Increase in taxes, 50 billion decrease in government purchases, a 50 billion increase in taxes, a 50 billion decrease in government purchases. Okay, what do you think the answer is now? I don't think there's a combined. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, shall we assume that we'll do a small calculation. Let's assume MPC is equal to 0.8. So if MPC is 0.8, how much is your government spending multiplier? 5 times. How much is your tax multiplier? It's minus 4 times. By now, I'm hoping you all know how to calculate that. Right. So in this situation, let's see, if the government increases their spending by 50 billion, then what would happen? If they increase their spending by 50 billion, so then what? Government expenditure multiplier is 5 times. So 50 into 5, it will increase by 250, right? There is a plus 250. Plus they are increasing taxes also by 50. So if they increase taxes also by 50, so then 50 tax multiplier is minus 4. Your national expenditure will decrease by 200. So overall, your impact is how much? How much is your overall impact? Because of this, if you increase government spending and taxes by 50 billion, your overall impact to your GDP is what? It's a plus 50. Your GDP, your national income will increase by 50. Because of the government spending, it's increasing by 250. Because of the taxes, it is decreasing by 200. Overall, you have a 50. Okay, right. If you look at the second one, decrease in both government purchase and taxes. So if you decrease government purchases by 50, so that means it's a minus 50 into 5, your national income will decrease by 250. If you decrease taxes, so minus 50, tax multiplier is minus 4, your national income will increase by 200. What is the overall impact here? Overall impact, Because the government spending decreased, national income falls by 250. Because of the tax decrease, national income increases by 200. So overall impact is a minus 50. National income falls by 50. Okay. If you decrease taxes by 50 billion, now we've already done that calculation. If you decrease taxes by 50 billion, so minus 50 into minus 4, right? Your tax multiplier is 4. You get an increase of 200. That is your final impact. If you decrease government spending by 50 billion decrease in government purchases, what happens there? A 50 billion decrease in government purchases. So if government purchases decrease by 50 billion, right? So your multiplier is 5 times, your national income will fall by 250. If you increase net exports by 50, guys, net exports, usually it's you can go with the what? Expenditure multiplier itself. So plus 50 into 5, it will increase this thing by 250. So I'm just giving you a few assumptions and I'm calculating for each of these following situations. So now, which of the following will decrease the GDP by the greatest amount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Where is the GDP falling? Where is the net impact the highest? Which one? Falling, guys. Decrease in the fourth option. That is where your GDP is falling by the greatest amount. You don't have to work out like this. You can figure it out though. I just gave you numbers to prove, because otherwise if I just, guys, MPC 0.8, I assumed it, right? You don't have to do a calculation like this to do this, but I did a calculation to prove it to you, because otherwise you will ask me, how is this and why is not this? So for every situation, I assume that MPC is 0.8. I calculated government spending multiplier, tax multiplier, and each of this, I calculated what is the net impact. All right. Okay. Is that what the past paper also says, or did I disappoint you? So what is your past paper answer? 26? Fourth, right? Or does it say something else? Or is my past paper question wrong? Fourth only? Fine. Okay, so then that should be correct. Right. So they'll get the point. No? They're asking you which of the following will decrease GDP by the greatest amount. Okay, so for exports, I use the government spending expenditure because that is also like an autonomous part, right? So your export, you can use that. That's also like an expenditure. So that is why I use the kg. You can use that, no problem. Okay, fine. That is question 26. Done and dusted. 26, they say the answer is 5. Increase in net exports. The following will decrease. This past paper says answer 5. Really? 4, right? 4 now? Yes, this is 2018. Okay, fine. All right. Okay. 26. Okay, so we'll go into question number 27. 4 is the answer. Right. So my explanation is correct. Okay. Question number 27. In an economy without a government sector, consumption, investment, exports, and imports are given below. What is equilibrium level of national income? Now, the same sum was there in 3 consecutive years now. Only thing, they changed a bit of things, right? Okay, can you all find this, please? How much is equilibrium level of national income? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so at equilibrium, I'll do the calculation over and over again. I'm a little fed up doing this calculation. The 2022 batch is actually very fed up doing this calculation. I made them do this like so many times in the past 2-3 weeks. Okay, so y is equal to c plus I plus c plus x minus m. So y is equal to, how much is c, guys? That's 200 plus 0.75 y. I is 500. G is okay, there is no government, sorry. I is 500, exports is 150, imports is a minus 100. So can you calculate, add all the autonomous parts? 200, 500, 700, 850, 750. 750 is equal to 0.75 y. right? So y minus 0.75y is equal to 750, 0.25y. I know some of y'all are too expert in this. So y is equal to 750 divided by 0.25, that means multiplied by 4, y is equal to 3,000. All right. So that's how you get your answer for that question. End up with answer number 1. I'm hoping that is fine. Okay, not a hard MCQ, a very simple MCQ on finding equilibrium level of national income. All right. So we go to the next one, question 28. Okay. Deflationary output gap. Okay, what is this deflationary or what is this inflationary output gap? I just put a small note on from my tute I extracted. So I'll just teach you this and then we'll go back to the question. All right. Okay. Now this, guys, this deflationary and inflationary output gaps occur, right, when you have something called a full employment level of output, right? So you all know every economy, if they use all of their resources, right, if they use all of their land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, they can achieve their full employment level. That is the highest possible level that they can, I'm saying probably the highest possible output level that they can go. They can go more than that. So now just think that is their full employment level. So if the economy is operating below full employment, right, we call that a deflationary output gap. If the economy is operating above full employment, then we call it a inflationary output gap. So in this case, right, so here I'll just go through the note, guys, in case you all can't remember. We say at some situations there is an actual aggregate expenditure which is less than the expenditure needed to achieve full employment level. This is a situation of a deflationary output gap. It can be shown by the following graph. According to the graph, point YF, right? Follow the graph properly, right? YF represents full employment level of output. So that is the full employment. That means if you use all your resources, you can achieve YF. And Y2 is the existing equilibrium. So right now you're at equilibrium in Y2, but for full employment, you have to be at Y4. So you're at a level of, at an equilibrium level less than full employment. That is what you call, guys, a deflationary output gap. So curve E1 shows the expenditure needed for full employment. Curve E2 shows the actual aggregate expenditure curve. The gap between A and B is the deflationary gap. The gap between YF to Y2 is the recessionary or the unemployment gap. Guys, there is two things, right? It might be a little confusing, but if they talk of the gap on this side, right, this is called a expenditure gap, right? This is called a expenditure gap. Okay, so this is what you call a expenditure gap, right? So you ideally have to be at E1, but you are at E2. So that difference, that A and B, is what you call an expenditure gap. So you can call this the deflationary, right, gap. The gap between this, the output here, this is what you call a output gap, right? This is what you call a output gap. So here you can either call this a recessionary gap, right? Or you can call it the unemployment gap. And sometimes these two are they intermingle it as well. But ideally, these are called, guys, output gaps. Okay, on the, if you're looking it through the other side, it's called a expenditure gap. So in our situation, they are ideally, we'll see what they are really asking you to. Okay, so we'll go back to the question. Guys, I'm hoping you all know this. I'm not teaching this for the first time. I'm just recapping. Okay, right. On the diagram below, OY is the equilibrium level of national income. So this is where the equilibrium is here. The OY, OY star, that is the full employment. This is full employment, just like my diagram. The deflationary deflationary gap is how much? What do you all think? the deflationary gap. When they say, is it y? Okay, guys, if you have a confusion, should you look this into this axis or this axis, just go through the numbers a little, just go through the areas and see whether this makes sense. Okay, first one, y star to u, guys, there is no gap like this, no, right? Directly cut it off. There is no gap like that, right? So cut off. U and v, this ideally should be the answer. Okay, we look at the other options. K and v, guys, there is no output gap like this, right? So that's also gone. Okay, that is gone. Then M and V, this can't be the gap because you're already at this thing here, right? And this, so this is also not the gap. Y1, Y1 and Y star, this is also there. Okay, now which one is the answer? Is it Y1 and star, or is it V and U? When they call you deflationary gap. Sorry, not V1 U, V and U. Which one? Which one is the deflationary gap? Second one, VU or this one? So you're stuck with two answers now. Or this. Ideally, it should be U and V. Yes. Is that what your answer say? I'm going with answer number 2, according to what I explained as well. The deflationary gap. Unless they specifically say output gap. Guys, when they say deflationary gap, they're talking about the expenditure gap here, right? So remember I told you, I'll go back to my explanation here, guys, right? So on this side, okay, if you're looking at output gaps, it has to be below, right? The recessionary gap, unemployment gap, or even if they say deflationary output gap, then also your answer would be that, right? Deflationary output gap. But if they say deflationary gap, indirectly they're talking about the expenditure gap. So the expenditure gap is the distance between those 2 points. So in our diagram, right, the deflationary gap is the V and U, the distance between V and U. The Y1 and Y, this thing, what is that gap? What is this called? This gap could be called, you can call this the recessionary output gap, right? The recessionary, or you can call it the unemployment, right? Or okay, this font is too small. Okay, or whatever said and done, these are output gaps. So be very careful in your question, right? So in your question, if they ask you for an output gap, you need to compare the national income axis, right? And then it's like that Y1, Y2, that should be your answer. If they talk about the expenditure gap, then your answer should go in, you know, this axis. The difference should come in this axis. I'm hoping I can't show it here, but I'm hoping you all can figure that out. If they don't specify, so if they don't specify, guys, now if they say deflationary gap, that means a deflationary expenditure gap, right? If they say otherwise, they will specifically say deflationary output gap. Okay, inflation gap is not here. I'm hoping that you all know that. Yes, the inflationary gap happens when your I have not included the diagram. It's when your, for example, if your Y2, so here, if your output level is at, let's say, somewhere here above full employment. So let's say you're at equilibrium at this point, something like this, right? So this one could be called a inflationary gap. This could be called the inflationary output gap. Okay, that could be a situation there. Since it's not there, I didn't include it, and I'm hoping that you all have gone through these. Okay, these are direct things that are there in whatever tute that you are studying. No matter which teacher you all go to, they should have put this in their tute. I'm sure they would have put it. You are the one who would have not paid attention. All right. Okay, is this question fine? Yes, yep. No. Fine. It's just small things, right? Small things like this. These are the questions that you usually, you know, make a mistake. All right, fine. 28 is done. Is there any other question? Nope. No other question? Okay, how many questions here? How many do you all get right? We have, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are 4? 4 out of 4? No? Okay, so I don't have my other questions in the whiteboard. I'll switch back to my PDF document and we'll go on in that. All right. Okay, you want a small break? No? Give me a second. Let me find my PDF doc. Yes. Okay, so I'll give you all a, how long of a break do you all want? Because I'm planning to go on until around 10, if that is fine. Yes, 10 minutes. Okay, then take a 10-minute break and come back. We'll go on with the 2019 paper. Okay, so the time right now is 9:26. I'll give you a break till 9:35. Right, so take a break till, sorry, not 9:35, guys, 8:35. Take a break till 8:35 and come back. Not a break, a break. Take a break till 8:35 and come back. We'll go on with the other questions starting from the 2019 paper. All right. Okay. See you at 8:35. Part 2 also, if you have time, we'll start. Okay. Okay. Back. Yes. No. Back. Okay. Just want to check. You're gonna start part 2 today. Also, we have around 3 papers more to discuss. We'll see how the thing goes. Once these 3 papers are done. What do you all feel? Should we do part 2 also? We'll look at what exactly we can do. Okay, give me a second. Okay, anyone did the 2019, the old syllabus paper? Old syllabus in the sense almost the same though. Anyone tried this out? Yeah. Okay, so we'll go through the questions and we'll see if we can figure it out. Okay, right. Question 23. I think this is a question that you can do. Even if you have not done, see if you can work it out together. All right. Okay. If the government increases, yeah, I think it's a good question. If the government increases spending by 600 billion and increase taxes by 600 billion to cover the increased spending, then which of the following combinations would correctly explain the effect on the budget and the GDP? Okay, they're increasing spending by 600 and they're also increasing taxes by 600. What do you think happens to the budget balance, government budget? Surplus, a deficit, or does it remain unchanged? What happens to the government budget? Remains unchanged, right? They are increasing taxes also by 600. They are spending the 600. So there is no effect on the government budget balance. So the government budget balance is unaffected. So I'll cut off the answers that says surplus. But what do you think happens to output or the GDP of the country? The output or the GDP, is that also unchanged? Or does something happen there? The GDP, guys, the GDP will increase, guys. This is what you call the balanced budget multiplier, right? According to the balanced budget multiplier, if you all have learned this, right? Balanced budget multiplier, if the government, right? If the government increases taxes and also increases government spending by the same amount, right? So increase tax and government spending, right? Tax and government spending by the same amount. Okay, if they do this, then what happens, guys? At the end of the day, what happens? The national income will increase, right? So national income will increase. How that is? Do you all want me to show you all how that is, or can you all figure that out? Have you all learned the budget balance before? We did a few things before as well. Yes, can figure it out, or you all lost? Shape or what? Can figure out? Yes. No? Okay, so in very simple terms, guys, so if the MPC is 0.8, again, if the MPC is equal to 0.8, how much is the government spending multiplier? It is 5 times, right? I'm hoping that you all know the fun. How much is the tax multiplier? It is minus 4 times. So now, if the government increases their spending by 600, that means 600 multiplied by 5, your GDP or national income will increase by 3,000. In the same time, if they increase tax also, so if they increase tax by 600, it gets multiplied by minus 4 times. Your national income contracts minus 4 times. So then your GDP will fall by 2004. So when this happens, what is your overall impact? Just be a minus 2004, sorry. What is your overall impact now as a result of this? Your overall impact is it's an increase in 600. So your overall, your GDP will increase by 600. So that is why we say GDP will increase. So even if the government spending increases and the taxes increase in the same amount, the tax is more expansionary. I'm hoping you all would have learned this before, right? So I'm hoping you all would have learned the what? Guys, budget and budget balance is different, guys. Budget balance multiplier, that's a different story. I'm talking about the GDP there. Okay, yes, I'm hoping that you learned it before. This is just go and check your tute somewhere. There would have been something called the balanced budget multiplier. That the balanced budget multiplier is equal to 1. That is, if government spending and taxes increase by the same amount, national income will also increase by that initial increase. So in our example, if government spending increases by 600, taxes also increase by 600, national income will increase by 600. So this is the proof of this question. So that is what the balance budget says, because when government spending increases, the expansion effect, it gets multiplied 5 times and it becomes 3,000. But when taxes increase, it gets multiplied only 4 times. So the reduction from taxes is less compared to the increase in government spending. The reasoning behind that is because government spending directly affects your aggregate expenditure, but a decrease in taxes first goes and affects your income, and from your income only a portion is consumed. So the expansion effect is not that much. I'm hoping something rings a bell, right? In case you all have learned it before. All right, so the answer here would be your budget would remain unchanged, your GDP would increase. So we'll end up with answer number 5, guys. That would be the correct answer for this question. Yes, got it correct. Anyone got it correct? If you all have done it? No, didn't do. Who does old papers? No, we don't even have time to do the new paper. Good. Right, question 26. Okay, 26. The data present in the following table describes the relationship between disposable GNI and aggregate consumption. So disposable GNI, they've said 800, 860, 920, 980. They've given you consumption 700, 745, What can be deduced about the value of MPC of this economy? Guys, what is MPC? Can you calculate MPC? It's a very easy calculation. Change in consumption divided by change in income. Take any points that you like. We'll take the first point. How much is MPC? This and this. How much is your change in consumption? That is 45. Your change in income, 800 going to 860 is 60. So how much is your MPC? 45 divided by 60, you get an MPC of 0.75. Okay. Now, does this MPC change at different points? Yes, no. When income increases, does MPC increase or decrease? What happens? As remember, MPC does not increase or decrease. MPC is always constant. Whether your income increases or decreases, MPC is constant. Right. So if you look at the answers, increases with disposable income, no, it doesn't. Decreases with disposable income, no. The value of MPC is 0.8. So a very obvious answer is there. The value of the MPC is 0.75. So easy as it is. So it's a very easy MCQs, guys, on calculating MPC. Right, guys, this is the 2019, the old syllabus paper, in case you don't have. Yeah, guys, disposable GNI income you can take in this example. Calculation will remain the same. Okay, usually Y is GDP, but here even disposable GNI, you can take the thing for the calculation, no issue at all. Right. Okay, we have a few more questions. Okay, question number 25. What do you all think? Okay, 25. Assume an economy currently is operating at equilibrium at the output. Okay, something that we did before. Okay, currently operating at an equilibrium output of 5,000 with an MPC of 0.8. If full employment level of equilibrium is 7,000, which of the following policy measures would ensure achievement of full employment? Can you see the same MCQ? They change the values. Okay, so equilibrium. Let's think now. You all think, can see if you all can figure out the answer, even if you are not done it. Equilibrium is 5,000, right? Your full employment is 7,000. So how much of a change do you need? You need a change of 2,000. So to make that change of 2,000, your national income should increase by 2,000. So two things that you can do. One is through your government spending. Now, since I talked that already, can you all tell me if the MPC is 0.8, how much is the government spending multiplier? Change is 5 times. Now you all should be able to figure that out. Now when MPC is 0.8, multiplier is 5 here. So then put it into equation. 5 is equal to change in income divided by change in government spending. So 5, how much is your change in income? How much should your, change in income is 2,000. How much should your government spending change by? Government spending should change by how much, guys, for it to match? Your government spending should increase by 400. So if your government spending increases by 400, it will get multiplied by 5 times. National income will increase by 2,000. So 5,000 will then become 7,000. So increase government spending by 2,000. That is one option. See if that answer, sorry, not 2,000, guys, by 400. See if that option is there. Yes. Increase government spending by 400. No, not there. No. Okay, so then again, that is not an option. So then if you look at taxes, so how much is your KT multiplier? Guys, now we did this like 3-4 times now. You should be able to figure it out. Tax multiplier is -4. So then again, we'll put it to the equation. Change in income over change in tax. Your KT is a -4. Your change in income you need is a 2,000. So how much is your change in tax? Change in tax is your taxes should decrease by, right? It's a minus answer that you get, right? So it should decrease by how much? It should decrease by rupees 500. It's billion. So, okay, is an answer that talks about this one? Yes, no? Yes? Yeah, okay, the fourth one. So decrease in taxes by 5,000. Guys, can you see it's the same question that they changed the values? This is why you need to do past papers. Can't you do it in one step? One step in the sense, guys, you don't have to figure out all of these, guys. This with practice, you will be faster right now. Moment I see this question, I'll say, okay, 2,000. This is 5. So this should be multiplied by 400 or they should decrease by 500. That will come with practice. You don't have to do all of these steps and figure it out. If you have practiced enough questions, I think by now you all should be at that level, because I remember when I was also doing A-levels, I was at that level at one point. The moment I see, I know, okay, this is MPC, this is how much the multiplier is, then this is the case. If you're at that level, then it's fine. You should be able to figure this out even without the working, but I am showing the working because if I just say the answer, then there is no point. That is, you're not here to just get the answer. So the answer for 25 is number 4. All right. Same question, changed a bit. Then 26. Okay, assuming a closed economy with, give me a second. Hold on. Okay, so there's a closed economy and don't do that method again. Which method do you want me not to do? The long one. Okay, assume that in a closed economy without a government sector, Aggregate savings function is S equals minus 200 plus 0.2. Why? Equilibrium level of national income is 2000. What is the level of investment? Same thing, guys. This was asked before also. Now, instead of giving you consumption, now they are giving you savings. Can you see the difference? Okay, how much is the consumption function now? Okay, you can do it two different ways, right? So one, you can use the withdrawals equals injections approach, and you can say savings is equal to investment, and you can do it that way. So I'll do it this way. I'll do both the ways and show. So savings is a minus 100 plus 0.2. Instead of y, let me put 2000 into 2000. Sorry. Okay, and then is equal to I. So how much is this? Minus 100 plus 0.2 into 2000. You get 400. So do you get investment equals 300? Yes, that is one way of getting it. The other way of getting it is you can say y equals c plus I. So you can convert that savings function into a consumption function. Minus 100 becomes a plus 100 plus 0.2, not 2, 0.8 y plus I. So instead of y, they have given you 2000. They're saying it is equal to 100 plus 0.8 into 2000 plus I. You work things around, you should get the same answer. So 100 plus this is 1600 plus I. You move the things around, you get I equals 300. So two ways of doing it, either using the W equals J approach, or else by using the Y equals C plus I. But I'm very sure all of you all would have gone and done this. Well, would have not done the W equals J for some reason. Anyone who did this one? W equals J? Anyone? Work the answer out that way? If you work the answer out that way, that means you kind of know it, then it's fine. Right. So that's 26. Okay, 27. Question 27. Ta-da. Okay, question 27. Okay, the table below shows some macroeconomic data for a hypothetical economy, all figures in billions. Which of the following statements about this economy is correct? Economy expands. 25, guys, 25 to get a screenshot. I don't have it. I'm writing it and I'm deleting it. So in case someone has a screenshot of 25, can you put it on the group? This is not my whiteboard. Since this is the PDF, I don't have it here. All right. Okay. So then question 27. Which of the following statements about this economy is correct? So they're talking about economy expands, that. What do you have? Okay, first of all, can you tell me the total withdrawals here? How much is the total withdrawals? Withdrawals is savings, taxes, and imports. How much is that? Savings, tax, and imports. Savings is 60, taxes are 40, imports are how much? 70. So you get 170. Okay, 107. How much are your injections? Injections. So you have investment, government spending, and export. So your investments is 50, government spending is 30, and exports are 80. So you get 160 here. Okay, now which side of the diagram are you? Remember that diagram I taught you? The involuntary, inventory, accumulation, and that. Can you tell me which side of the diagram are you? So you have your withdrawals, you have your injections, you have your Y equals E line, right? I'll try to draw it like that. And you have your expenditure. Okay. You don't need the Y equals E line. Fine. Okay, so which side of the diagram are you? Okay, this is equilibrium. What is greater? Your withdrawals are greater than your injections. And so in which side is your withdrawals greater? In this side, right? So if you're on this side of the diagram, is it a shortage? Your withdrawals are greater than your injections. Check what you all would have written down in the previous question. I'm only drawing the withdrawals and injections. I'm not drawing the up part, right? So what happens here? So you're in a this thing. So immediately you should stop. Eventually, what should happen, guys? What should happen to the economy? I mean the output, the GDP. Should it increase or should it decrease now? It should decrease, right? So the economy has to contract, guys. The output has to decrease. Why should the output decrease? Because the withdrawals are greater than injection. So which one is the answer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the same MCQ that they've asked before. They're asking it a little bit of a different way. So what should be the answer here? The economy contracts because withdrawals are greater than injections. Yes, I think I explained this before, so I'm not going to explain in detail again. I'm hoping that's fine. This is a inventory accumulation where you have too much of inventory. I have not drawn the y equals e line, but I'm hoping at this level you can figure it out. So your y equals e line will be something like that. So your y is greater than e here, right? This is y, this is e, this is y equals e though, right? So I'm hoping that is fine. Yep, that's 27, 2019, the old paper. Okay, a few interesting questions as well. That's it. Okay, so 28 is from cost push inflation. We'll do that when we do unit number 7. Okay, 4 out of 4. We had 27, we had 26, we had 25, and we had 24. Oh no, we had 5 questions. 5 out of 5. 5, yes. Sorted. 3, 2, okay. Right. So then we'll go into 2019 paper. So we'll do 2019 and 2020 and wrap things off. We'll do the essay questions. I'm pretty sure no one of you all did the essay questions and came. So we'll do the essay questions the next class. We'll do these 2 papers. Maybe we'll go on to around 9:15, 9:20 and wrap it off. All right. Okay. Good news or bad news? Usually at my time when a teacher says that they're finishing class early, it's actually good news. I don't know for you all though, but I'm hoping it's the same news. Okay. Right. 2019 A levels. Dun, 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 dun. Yes. Should we start from 23? I think that is where we should start with. So question 23, 2009. Guys, now these I don't have, I can't scroll back to get screenshots because I'm drawing on the board. I'm erasing this. This is not my Microsoft whiteboard. This is my just a Zoom screen. So in case you all did not write things down, try to get a screenshot before I erase. Because once it's erased, it's gone. I can undo like a little bit, but not after I go a long time. Okay, so consider that an economy autonomous consumption is 600 million and the marginal profit saved is 0.2. If the gross national disposable income increases by 1,000, consumption spending will increase by, because you will not get easy questions like this. Okay, how much is MP? First of all, if MPS is 0.2, MPC is equal to how much? 0.8. So if MPC is 0.8, they are asking you if gross national disposable income increases by 1,000, by how much will your consumption increase by? So MPC is equal to change in consumption divided by your change in income. So your MPC is 0.8. Your change in consumption is what you have to find, right? Your change in income, they're saying, is 1,000, right? So move things around. How much do you get, guys? You get the simple MPC calculation. Earlier they gave you the MPC and they wanted you different things. Now here, okay, so you move things around, you get your change in consumption as how much? Change in consumption is 800 billion. Yeah. Right, I'm hoping that is fine. Okay, confuse the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so that's up to you, figure things out. Right, so change in consumption is 0.8, sorry, not 0.8, 800. Shape. It's a very easy MCQ, guys, not at all hard. 2019, a few years ago, right? Okay, 2000, okay, question number 24. Let's look at this question. I think this was a bit of an interesting question. Okay, the table below shows national accounts data for consumption. Okay, top part is a little annoying. Okay, the table below shows national income data on consumption and disposable GNI for a hypothetical economy. Consumption 800, gross national income 6,000. Consumption 960. National income 1,200. An increase in net exports lifted the economy by 300 million in year 3. If all other things being constant, what was the increase in net exports? How do you find this? They're talking about some consumption and disposable GNI, and then they're talking about something called a net exports. Yes, remember we did a small calculation earlier. Your multiplier is equal to change in national income, change in national income, or change in Y divided by a change in any autonomous expenditure. So it can be government spending, investment, and even net exports, right? So now in this case, can you find it using this? You can, but you don't have a little bit of information. First of all, can we find the multiplier, the expenditure multiplier? I'll say KA, or I'll say K net exports. Because net exports is independent in your syllabus. Exports are, so how do you get 1 over 1 minus MPC? Now, have they given you MPC here? See, this question you will work a lot of things. So have they given you MPC? No. So how do you find MPC? MPC is equal to change in consumption divided by change in income. Now, have they given you values for this? Yes. Can you figure out this? Yes. So change in consumption, can you see here? 800 to 960. Change in consumption is 160. Your change in income is 200. So can you put that into the equation now? So it's 160 divided by 200. You get an answer of 0.8. This is also done. So now let's work backwards. Now shall we calculate the multiplier? Guys, don't go with K next, we'll just say K, right? Is the MPC that I'm finding? Sorry, okay. Sorry for this, MPC. Sorry, MPC. Okay, right. Then move backwards here. Now, how much is the multiplier? Come on. Now, if you all know, if the MPC is 0.8, the multiplier is 5 times. That you all know. Okay. Now let's go back to this equation now. So 5 is the multiplier. National income, they say, an increase in net exports increase the national income by 300 million. So change in national income is 300. They're asking you by how much did net exports increase by. So what is the change in net exports? Guys, net exports, investment, government spending, all of that is considered as autonomous expenditure. Work things around. It's an interesting MCQ, but it's not hard. It's a little bit that you need to do a bit more workings there. How much do you get? You can't get 24.5. Work things around. It's 300 divided by 5. You get a change in net exports. That means the change in NX is a plus 60. So plus 60 means it has increased by 60. So how much has net exports increased by? 60 million. That should be the answer. Yes or no? They're giving you one small clue and then you work backwards, guys. You find MPC, then you find the multiplier, then you find this. Got it correct? Yes, no? If you got it correct, that means you're a very good level. Interesting question. Okay, guys, there is nothing new in this question. The only thing is, instead of, let's say, saying government spending, they would have given net exports. So once again, they're saying that to brief in very simple terms, they're saying that the national income increased by 300 because of an increase in net exports. How much is that increase in net exports? So you use this equation. So change in national income, you know, is 300. So you don't know the multiplier, you don't know the change in autonomous expenditure, that is this you need to find. So you can't have two unknowns. So first let's look at finding the multiplier. So how do you find multiplier? Multiplier is equal to 1 over 1 minus MPC. When NX is independent, the whole plus 300 can be changed in X. Yes. The whole case, the whole plus 300 has, guys, when these autonomous expenditure change, you need to realize that it changes, it multiplies several times. Your national income increased by 300. What caused it? That would have caused, that was caused by an increase in net exports, not by 300. It was caused by increase in net exports by 60 because it gets multiplied by 5. Then only that increases by 300, right? So you can't just say 300 there, guys. It doesn't make sense then, right? So your multiplier is this 5 times. Then you look into MPC. So you find MPC. How do you find MPC? From the table that they have given, 160 divided by 200. You found MPC, you found this, you work backwards, and you got the change in net exports as 60. Find shape, yes. Interesting question. Not that hard though, but only the fact is that you need to do a bit more extra steps. Don't get scared. Okay. Okay. Question 20. Okay, we can do 27 also. Okay, the short run aggregate supply curve. Short run aggregate supply curve. Slopes downward to the right, slopes upward to the right. Graph is a horizontal line. Graph is a vertical line. It's steeper below the full employment output. What do you think? The short run aggregate supply curve. How does your AS curve look like? Your aggregate supply curve is like that. Short run aggregate supply is increasing. So it's slope upwards to the right. So your answer should be the second one. Simple thing, they're simply asking you how does it look like, right? That's all that they're asking. So it slope upwards to the right. Okay, so then how does it become the long run one? So this curve, right, if I'm to draw this, let's say short run goes like that, and then after one point it becomes like this. So this part here is the short run aggregate supply. This part here is the long run. Now why is it becoming a steeper line like this? Why is in the long run, why do you have a steeper straight line? Because it's ugly to draw a straight line. Why do you have the, exactly, because you reach full employment. So this point is what you call the full employment level. Now after this, you can't increase your supply. So this is YF, right? You have reached your capacity. So in the short run, it will be upward sloping. It will be flatter, but in the long run, it will be a straight line. It will be very steep. Okay, so the short run is upward sloping to the right. Hoping you all know that. There's a very, very basics. Okay. Done. Question 25 done. 26 we can't do. Okay, done with this. 2015. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 questions. How many you'll get? How much out of the 3? 3 out of 3? 2. Maybe you would have got that import question a bit wrong. Sorry, the net export question. If you got that right with the proper logic, that means you're a good level. Okay, final MCQ. Guys, these are not hard, right? Ever felt that this is hard? I don't think. Okay, this one. Question 23. Okay, again with that inventory accumulation and that. Okay, so they're saying here, the diagram below displays the aggregate expenditure E for a hypothetical economy. Okay. They're saying at the real output level of 600. So the output level is 600, right? And then what do you think is happening here? So there is an accumulation, right, of stocks and that. Okay, how do you figure this out, guys? Okay, what is the inventory accumulation or short? Okay, first of all, is there an accumulation or a shortage here? Is there too much or is there a shortage? What is greater? The Y is greater than the E, right? Y is greater than the E, so there is an accumulation. Now they're asking how much is that accumulation? So the difference between these two, that is what they're asking you guys. What is the difference between those two? That is the accumulation actually. So what is the difference between those two? If you look at it, it's not 200. This is 600. You know the Y equals E line. If you connect this here, this is also 600, right? So at the output level of 600, when the Y is 600, right? The E is only 450. So how much is your accumulated amount? Your expenditure is 450 at that output level. Your output is 600. So how much of a gap do you have? You have a gap of not 200, guys, you have a gap of 150. Don't compare it with the equilibrium point. Compare it with that output given point. At that given point, this is the difference, right? You don't have to compare with the equilibrium 400. You compare with the, at the output level of 600, the expenditure is this, the Y is this. The gap between the two is 150. So there is an accumulation, not a shortage. There's an accumulation of unplanned stocks of 150. Guys, this reduction of unplanned stock, this is what a shortage means, right? In case you all are confused with the new word, a reduction. This is a 2019 paper, right? Sorry, it's a 2020 paper. So I remember someone asked me if this is in the syllabus. This is definitely in the syllabus. This is what was asked last year. So a reduction in the unemployed. Reduction here means that shortage part that I explained, right? So that is the one. Okay, highlight the 600, this one. Okay, this is what I found. Okay, so this 600 and this 450, that is what you're comparing. 600 is your output, 450 is your expenditure. So the difference between the 450 and the 600 is 150. Because unplanned stocks is that, it's another word of, you know, involuntary inventory. Unplanned. Yes, the first one will not come because the unplanned stock is not 200, guys. Okay, one more thing. Involuntary, if you're confused with the two terms, involuntary means unplanned, right? Then another word is unplanned. Okay, unplanned. Inventory, another word is stock. Okay, so when they say unplanned stock, it means inventory, involuntary inventory. I'm hoping that you all know the English meaning. So when you say unplanned stock, it means a reduction means a shortage. Accumulation means what it's the same word that we studied. Answer 1 won't come because you're not comparing the 400, guys. You're not comparing at equilibrium. You're comparing at the 600. At the point of 6. At the output level of 600, what do you have? Okay. That's question number 23. Fine. Yes, no. Accumulation means excess. Yes, accumulation means excess. Okay, right. That's 23. Then we're going to 24. An economy with a positive output gap. What do you think that is? A positive output gap. Okay, what is a positive output gap? Is a positive output gap is where you are beyond your this thing, right? So let's say your full employment, you're beyond your full employment, right? So you can show this. Okay, so you can let me show it using the business cycle, right? So if you have your business cycle, right, this is what you call a positive output gap. So this is your actual output. This is your potential output. So yes, this comes under chapter number 5 though, right? Okay, first of all, when you have a positive output gap, one, actual output is greater than the potential. That is one thing that you need to know. Okay, what happens to inflation and unemployment? I would have taught you all this. Inflation is high or not? Inflation is high. Inflation increases, is high, right? What happens to unemployment? Unemployment is low, right? Unemployment is apart from that, okay, fiscal measures and stuff you all need to know, right? Okay, there is unutilized productive capacity. Yes or no? Do you have unutilized productive capacity? No, right? You're beyond your productive capacity. You're beyond your potential output. So no, not unutilized, overutilized. There is, forget about the cyclical word, guys. That is there just to confuse it. There is unemployment. Yes or no? No, right? There is no unemployment. People are having jobs, you know. So you can't say that there is unemployment. Actual output is less than potential output. No, actual output is higher. That's what you call a output gap. There is a slowdown in the pace of economic activities. No, this is a boom, guys. This is going high means it's a boom. It's a increase in the activities that is happening. Again, no. There is demand pull inflation. Is there inflation? Yes. So that is your answer. 24 answer number 5. Guys, these are very simple MCQs. They might give you different words, right? They might put, cyclical in the middle. They might put demand pull inflation, demand pull in the middle, right? That is just there to confuse you. That's just testing you the basic knowledge. All these 3 points is what you need to know. That the actual is higher, that there is inflation, and that there is no unemployment. Okay, that's question 20. Is cyclical unemployment in our syllabus? Yes, guys, those are all there. It's there in little different places. It comes in unit number 11, 12. Some teachers might teach it in unit number 1, right? Some people might teach it here. I think I taught it in unit number 11 and 12. So the different types of unemployment, cyclical, then there is what? Frictional, and we'll talk about it later when we come to those units. Okay, right, 25. 24 done. 25. Question 25. I think it should be a very easy one. So they've given you the aggregate savings function is S equals minus 200 plus 0.25y. Then the aggregate consumption function. Guys, can we at least have answers from everyone here after doing all these questions? What is the consumption function if that is the savings function? Which one is the savings function? If the consumption function is a minus 200, savings function is a minus 200 plus 0.75y, how much is your consumption, guys? Minus a becomes plus a, plus 200, 0.75 becomes 0. This is 0.25, 0.25. So this becomes 0.75. Okay, so that has to be your answer. You end up with answer number 5, right? You will not get questions as this is your last year A-level paper. Okay, I don't think there is anything challenging in this. If you can actually do your past papers, no problem at all. Okay, this is velocity of circulation that goes into unit number 7. Okay, 25, 24, 23. Okay, 3 MCQs. How much you'll get right? How much out of 3? 3 out of 3 at least? No? All correct? 3, 2. Okay, so that's basically it with the MCQs. We'll not go into part 2. Okay, on your end, can you please make sure that you do the part 2 questions, right? So I'll just tell you where the part 2 questions will be there. I'll just go to the 2015 paper. You start from 2011. We'll start from 2011. The question that you should do is, right, in the paper, question number 5, right? Question number 5, right? So usually the question number 5. Now in the latest papers, unit 5 and 6, they have 1 question. So you might only have to do part of it. Okay, this is actually a very easy unit that you can target and write. Okay, I don't know if you're planning to leave it. It's actually, the questions are very, very easy. Even if you're, I don't know, this is something that even A-levels I wrote, right? I don't usually write unit number 1. For some reason, unit number 1 is easy, but I don't write unit number 1 because that's a full of a theory question. So when it's full of theory, it's a little bit hard to score 20 out of 20. Now, come on, after you get to a point. So there are some people who are looking at just passing or, something small, right? People who can just passing, definitely go and do question number 1, right? But people who are looking at something way more than a, right? Way more than a A, they are looking at, let's say, a 95 to 100, right? Fast track students, I'm hoping that is what you're targeting at after doing everything. You to be a little bit specific, because sometimes unit number 1, because every time they ask the, obviously, if the question is easy, if you can score 20 or 20, please go and do it. But personal recommendation is, if you're going for a really high grade, that is like a 90, 75, you can do unit number 1, right? Yeah, in your syllabus 5 and 6, you'll get 1 essay question. But if you're looking at, let's say, 95, that level, right? The sums is where you can score easy. Right? So because if you're at a level of a 95, that means you're very good at your sums. Because if you get your sum right, there is no way that they can cut marks. So theory questions, they can cut here and there. In case you might have not written something that they don't really like, they might cut a mark. But the sum, if you have got it right, they have no option, they have to give you a mark. So personally, I don't write unit number 1, even though it's easy, because I feel I can't score the 20 out of 20. If you're also at that level, I guess I'm not giving this advice for someone at a normal 75, please write question number 1. But if you're looking at a beyond question, right, go for the sums, right? Because that is where you can target, that is where you can hit the marks, because they can't cut marks there, right? For an A, guys, for people going for an A, at a 75A, go with, I'll say the easiest questions will be 1, 2, and 4. 3 is also okay, guys. All 5 are easy. I don't know. I have no issue there, but I think the easiest questions is 1, 2, and 4, right? But you have more sums in question number 3. For someone at a very good level, I would say maybe 2, 3, and 4, or even that depends, guys. So I'll not recommend anything, but according to your level, you can do. In part B, you go prepared for 3, guys. Please don't go prepared for 2. For part B, the easiest questions I'll say is the question 7 and question 8. That is question 7 coming from public economy, question 8 coming from international trade and foreign finance. Now, question 8, you all must, in your syllabus, you all must be thinking, there are 2 units. I have to study 2 units to do 1 question, right? Now, fast track students, I think we did all the past papers and did the questions. You realize that it's very direct questions that they ask. So when they have 2 units to ask 1 essay question, they don't go into deep because they have a lot of content, right? They have a lot of content to ask just 1 question. So they test on the basics. There will be a basic, comparative advantage, absolute advantage question. I'm hoping that you all are very good at it now. Okay. So don't target questions now itself. I will not recommend that, right? Fast track students, especially not you all, right? I'm training you all to do everything apart from the last 2 questions. I'll not take you to specialize on last 2. On that, they have the freedom to do it. Credit creation in question number 7. That's right. So question number 7 sometimes gets a little tricky. Sometimes credit creation, you panic and you might get it wrong. Sometimes, those different central bank interventions and stuff, you might get it wrong. I'm not saying question number 7 is hard, but in general, right? Question number 6 is hard. Question number 7 and 8 is more easier. Economic growth also, if you're comfortable, question number 9 is also easy, but you need to be good at it, right? Question number 10, I would personally recommend not to, because question number 10 is very practical, right? You need to be like very good with your general knowledge. They will ask you on something that is happening. So it's very hard for a teacher also to predict what type of questions come, because that will be something that has happened in the year and something. So therefore, question number 10, I would say, is out. Question number 9 also is usually out, but if you're good at it, if you have practiced all the past papers, then 9 is easy. But I personally will not like you all to write 9, but that's fine. That's up to you. My recommendation on the 2 questions that you are writing is question number 7, that is on public economy, the government, externality and tax and all of that. And question number 8 on international trade and foreign finance, that one. So that would be the easier one, but recommendation again is to go prepared for question number 6, 7, and 8. On that day you choose to. Don't target now itself, because in case one of the questions is hard, that's going to be a biggest regret in your life. You will have 2 months to go. There is no hurry, right? So focus on all 3 questions. That is this question, right? Focus on this. This is usually, I will say 7 and 8 is easier, but I want you to go prepared for all 3, minimum 3. If you can go prepared for all 5, perfect, right? At least a 3, because I'll tell you what I went prepared for, right? I went prepared for 3, but towards the last 2 weeks, I did a bit of a mistake. I stopped studying international trade, right? So I was planning for 3, but towards the last 2 weeks before A levels, I thought, okay, I don't want international trade. Let me study everything in these 2 units and go, so that I can get the 20 out of 20. Let me not waste time in this. But what happened in question number this question was a little hard. I couldn't answer in 2017. The 2017 paper, if you look at it, I'll just let you know what I went through, right? So in the last 2 weeks, I stopped studying international trade, right? So now here where I went through, 1, credit creation, I was very good at it. I made a careless mistake, right? This one, I did not know. High powered money, what is high powered money? I knew, But then does the central bank have perfect control over the stock of high powered money? I was not very sure what to do, right? So since I targeted this and went, I had a problem there. So I wrote something, I don't know if it was right or not. Then the main focus of the monetary policy framework is also I did not know. When I was right now, I know, but when I was writing A-levels, I did not know that. So these two questions and even this, I made a small mistake because I had no option. I didn't even look at the international trade question because friends came and told me international trade question was easy because last 2 weeks, I only went through 6 and 7. I did not even look at it. I started with question, I did not even look at question 8. I simply went with question 6 and 7. Yes, so don't do that mistake, right? Please go through question 6, 7, and 8. Study all 3. Now, even in this one, I did not know these points, right? Now, for example, major source of excise tax, I did not know 4 points, right? I knew excise tax comes on tobacco and alcohol, but what do you write for 4 marks? I did not really know, right? So there also I wrote a bit of a little lies. So I don't think I got the 4 marks there. And then even this one, public finance is at a perilous state, weaknesses in public finance. I wrote general points, but I did not know specific points there. Okay, then the measures taken to address the public finance again was not that easy. Because what happened was in the 2016 paper, this unit 8 question was very, very easy, right? This question was very easy. So I thought, our year also, it will be very easy. If you look at the 2016 unit 7 question. I don't know if you have studied, you will realize that it was a very easy question, right? They simply ask you like very basic things. Now they asked you how is the externalities, how does externalities lead to inefficient resource allocation? What are public goods? Why can't the market provide it? What are the objectives of tax? Mention the properties of a tax system and components of recurrent expense. This is one of the easiest questions that you can get for unit number 8, right? So I was also expecting something like this, and I went to 2017. 2017, the question was not that easy. This is the 2017 paper. So your case also same story, right? In case your 2020 paper fast track will analyze the papers later, right? In the fast track, when we're doing mock exams. But if you feel that the 2020 paper, that particular question was easy, don't expect it to be easy in your year also. So bit of general advice by analyzing the papers. So perilous here means like at a bad state, right? So that's what perilous here means. So this question was actually hard. So I ended up writing these two, but then I had more time. I'll talk about time management and stuff later. So I had time, so I wrote all what I know. I wrote for around 45 minutes. I wrote around 2 pages for one answer because I didn't know what to write. I wrote everything I know. I ended up getting the mark. But this question was actually easier, but I did not study. So don't make that mistake. Please go prepared. If you're planning to write only 2 questions from this part, go prepared for 3, right? Even at the last moment, don't go to specialize on anything because you never know which question. You might think, let me study everything and go. Then there can't be anything else that they can ask. There can be something that they can ask. Like something from somewhere can come up, right? So don't ever do that mistake. Go for 3. So to target these 3, you need to study 4 units. That is unit number 7, money and banking, unit number 8, public economy, unit number 9, international trade, 10, foreign finance, right? And also, please don't ignore, for God's sake, don't ignore unit number 11 and 12, guys. You have 5 MCQs, guys. You have, if let's say you're not writing the essay questions, from this you have 5 MCQs. I personally know a friend, right? I went through these unit 11 and 12, so I got the MCQs right in my paper. My friend, he did not go through this one much. He got the questions wrong, so he fell a little short in his Z-score to get into a good uni. He's also in okay, I'm not saying it's a bad uni, but compared to where he wanted to go, his Z-score was a little bit less. Pretty sure that 5 MCQs would help you out. So don't take it lightly, right? Don't take the 11 and 12 lightly. Maybe you don't have to practice for essay questions, but you need to know the unit. You need to know how to at least answer those MCQs, because those 5 MCQs can change your A and your B, right? So fast track students, these are the units that we will be focusing this month, right? So please don't take it lightly. We are focusing on unit 10, 11, and 12, right? You might think that you're not going to write this question. This message is with fast track students, not the others, guys. So the fast track people, we are starting the class today. right? We're starting with unit number 10. So don't take it lightly. I want you to focus very well, just how you did for the other units on unit 10, 11, and 12 as well. Then that completes the entire syllabus and we are on track. Headline syllabus is not in your syllabus. Headline syllabus is in your syllabus. Headline and co. Right? That is basically it. Guys, what is in your syllabus and not in your syllabus, don't judge it based on your teacher's guide. Your teacher's guide is not complete. Your teacher's guide has hundreds of different mistakes. Yes, I make my note based on the teacher's guide, but there is so much of mistakes in the teacher's guide, right? So if you are studying the teacher's guide, please be mindful on that. I don't know how many of you all are doing that, but if your main note that you study is the teacher's guide, because I personally know there are students studying that, there are a lot of mistakes in that, right? So be careful. Okay, right, that's basically it for today. Okay, what I wanted to say is next class, right? Remove your headset little. Why do you want me to remove my headset, guys? Can't hear me? No? Yes, because if I remove my earphone, you won't hear me much because my laptop, my mic is a little far away. Can you hear, right? Okay. Right. So general tips, guys. I'll give you all a bit more tips maybe on a seminar that I am planning for a seminar maybe on the start of let's say start of September. Sorry, not September, start of August. Okay. Just to let you all know, if anyone is interested, since some people ask me, the last 2 months, that is, I'm trying to screen record. So you can record the screen if you want to. I have no objection. Okay, so just small thing that on this we'll have a motivation program that if you all want practice on mock exams, you all can join the fast track for next month, ideally, not this month. Next month and the month after we will be doing 8 mock exams. So 2 classes a week, paper 1, paper 2 a week, and it will be harder than A levels usual. So that is my plan for the fast track. In case some of you all did ask, just to pass the message around, it's going to be 8 mock exams at a stretch, and then you go write your A level paper. Okay, how to join that, guys? I'll let you all know maybe towards this thing. So if you're this month we are doing unit number 10, 11, and 12. If you don't know 10, 11, and 12, then I would not recommend you to join, because then it's just a waste of money. You will not understand it as well. So maybe from next month, where we do the entire mock exam paper, you can join. If you know 10, 11, and 12, then you can join this month. It would make sense. But if you are blank at it, I would not recommend the fast track. But definitely next month and the month after will be very useful if you don't have much of mock exam practice. If you have enough mock exam practice, then there is no problem at all, right? I'm saying in case you don't have, you feel that you need to write more mock exams and need more practice, then the last 2 months would be ideal, because we will do 8 mock exams harder than the A-level paper, right? It will not be past paper questions, completely new questions, right? So because past paper we're already discussing, no point putting those into the paper. It will be completely new papers, you printed and sent. If you want, you can do that. Not this month, next month. Discuss the question in the mock exam. Yes, guys, I will discuss the question in the mock exam. So every 50 MCQs and all the 10 essay questions I'll discuss. All right, so that's basically it. Is there anything else that you would want to ask? Okay, guys, please do the essay questions and come. The fee will be 3,000 a month, guys. 8 classes, 3-hour classes, recordings, tudes, everything included. Okay, so 3,000 a month. Per month, we do 4 mock exams. You get the recordings, you get the tudes, you get it. Okay, tudes means question paper, answer, everything. Normal thing. Okay, that we'll talk about those later, not required here. Okay, on your end, that's basically it. Please, 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 next Saturday also we'll have the class, but on your end, please make sure you do the question and come, because otherwise it will not make sense, right? So do this question and come. We'll discuss, because you might not write this question in part 2, but knowing these questions are good for your MCQs, because sometimes these same essay questions, they can convert into MCQs and they can ask. So do go through this, do it and come, right? You will realize that it is not at all hard. I'm hoping that you all know to distinguish between unit 5 and unit 6. Usually it's question number 5. Sometimes it's only half of question number 5, because sometimes unit 5 and 6, both you get 1 question. So then it will be only half. I'm hoping you're smart enough to figure that out by this time with 2 months to go. Right, that's basically it. If you have any questions, you all can stay and clarify. If not, thank you for coming. I'll see you all next Saturday. Okay, see you guys. Have a good day. See you. Bye. See you. Bye-bye.